This is day 11 already. Welcome. I hope you've enjoyed the meditation practices. Remember that you have access to all of these videos whenever you want to redo one of the practices. Each one I've labelled on the links, and you have to go just through the email again if you want to go back and practice anything. You're more than welcome to have access to that forever. Okay, so today is a little bit of a reflective session, so it will be a little bit shorter than 10 minutes. However, I encourage you to pause the video and sort of reflect if you need to in between bits and pieces. We've gone through our mindful body, mindful breath, and mindful meditation sessions now. So I've given you 3 days of each so that you have quite familiar with what that means, and those are the main practices that you would find, I suppose, in a class, or if you were to go online to find mindfulness practice. But just a reminder that you can really practice mindfulness doing anything. You can do it during your eating, washing up, walking. Walking is such a fantastic way to practice mindfulness. I went for a walk yesterday and I noticed that even when I'm walking, I am thinking and processing so many things because it's busy in here. And I stopped for a moment and I looked onto the river and I noticed there was an absolute comedy show going on the river, with the birds following each other and swans appearing and then ducking off so many things were happening, and it just took me that realization that I'm far too lost in my thoughts even though I'm out walking. And that just takes me back to one of my mindfulness teachers, Shauna Shapiro. You can find her also on YouTube. She really talks a lot about how we can sit and meditate for 20 hours, but if our mind is going in a direction, or we're really thinking about negative things or things that frustrate us, then we're really putting our energy there. And even if we're walking, for example, we can lose ourselves a little bit in that train of thought going off. And so we have to constantly practice, bringing ourselves back. And we're really trying to rewire our brains, in other words, and we're rewiring our habits. So with the 21-day course, of course, if we do that for 21 days, it's been shown to be helpful to do something that many days in a row. But really, this is going to be something that if you're really interested in it and you find that it works for you, that you have to keep coming back to over and over again. And one of the best ways to do that is to have routines. And I'm sure most of you have routines in your lives, and if you do have particular specific morning routines, I'm sure you've already noticed that really helps, especially with mindfulness practice, meditation, or yoga, fitness, that kind of thing. So I'd like to talk a little bit about morning routines. This applies to people that do wake up in the morning and have their daytime is when they are busy. So if you're the other way around and you do a night job or something like that, then perhaps this would be an evening routine for you before you go to work, or whatever it works. It could be lunchtime. So take out your notebooks for a moment, and hopefully you've reflected a few times on the last 11 days or 10 days. So let's take a blank page now and just write down what your current morning routine is. Now, if you don't have one, just don't worry, leave it blank for the moment. And if you do have one, and if your morning routine is quite big, pause and write that down so you can have a look at it. So if you've got quite a lot on your list, have a look at it, pause the video, and take a real step back and ask yourself how much I do in the morning before I get busy. How could I improve that? Or how could I add a little bit of mindfulness practice in? Remember that mindfulness practice, it really doesn't just have to be the meditation, breathing, or yoga, or anything like that. It could be something like, I'm going to read my book, reading for 10 minutes, knitting, mindful eating, that kind of thing. And if your page is completely blank, that's what I like, because we can really work on something there. What I'd like you to do if it's blank is pause the video again. It's really up to you to take a step back, analyse your life, your day, a normal busy day, weekday, weekend, whatever it is, and write down what would be your perfect, ideal, mindful, productive, whatever it needs to be for you, morning or evening or lunch, whatever you've chosen. So just listing everything that you think would make your morning perfect. And so whether you've written a big list and you've just reflected on it, or whether you've got a blank page and you wrote down your ideal morning, everybody just have a look at this ideal morning. And if you're comparing it to your current morning routine, have a look to see how we can tweak this to be even more mindful. And of course, I want you to draw on the intentions that you set at the beginning of the course, because each person will have a different lifestyle and some people will want to add a lot more meditation. Some people will actually just want to perhaps do something that is productive in that time. So of course it's nice to add the mindfulness practice in, that's kind of the point, but really it's most important that we create a nice morning routine. Put the times, put detail, and of course this is an experiment if it's new to you, so we're going to experiment with this for the rest of the course. So if you are doing the course in the mornings, you could factor that in. We're going to practice this new morning routine that you've written down today to see how it goes. And make sure that once you don't overload yourself, for example, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and run a mile. Make it quite conservative and just something you think you can definitely integrate into your mornings over the next 11 days. And then at the bottom, if you can, write down, I commit to this for at least 11 more days. Actually, it's 10. It's 10 more days we have, sorry. I commit to this for 10 more days. And so it's an experiment to see whether this will work for you. You can add in the breath techniques, the meditation. Of course, don't overload, as I said. And then when you have it all finished, you've got this little list, keep it with your book in your mindful place or wherever you're going to do your morning routine. And that's it for today. So it's just setting a nice routine for the morning or the evening for you that's going to hopefully incorporate some of your mindfulness practices. So tomorrow, what I'm going to start doing from tomorrow is adding in 3 minutes of mindful practice at the beginning of the session, and that leaves us just over 7 minutes for me to talk or to add more theory or more practices or new things. So that'll just be a silent sitting or a breath technique. And in one of the days coming up, I'll do a little bit of a yoga routine for you, so we can do some mindful movement with the breath. So that's it for today, morning routines, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you.